Hi, Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and here's another interview in my series of interviews with subscribers. Enjoy. Okay, everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter, and I have another interesting interview today with somebody who's, well, just an absolute I just get a hoot from Coleen. I was on one of her live chats the other week, and we were having a lot of fun. And I knew right then and there I had to interview Coleen. So welcome, Coleen. It's really nice to have you here. And where are you located?
I am in the Ozarks area of Missouri. Show
Oh,
me state.
that's interesting. So let's jump right in. How long have you been quilting?
Since about the spring of 2020? No,
Oh,
2021.
well, you're relatively new. I mean, I'm a new kid on the block too. I've only been doing this since about 2018. So it's nice to meet somebody else who's and I still consider myself a newbie to this as well. You can always learn lots of things. I mean, I think even experienced quilters, if they're honest, they will tell you, yeah, there's always something new to learn. So great. Well, I'm glad you entered the community. So why? How did you get started?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain, but the short version is I
Mhm.
really liked being in chats, live chats with other people. And I got into so many, it became overwhelming because I wanted to be in all the live chats. And I wanted to share my stuff because everybody's like, can you share it here? Can you share it there? I don't have social media.
Right.
So I made YouTube. Social media had problems. So with YouTube, it's more, there is a whole lot of controls in it to
Yes.
create the kind atmosphere that I want.
That's true. So you just decided that you just, well, you saw all these chat and sews kind of a thing and these chat things that you'd start your hand at doing quilting?
I was invited, this is how the YouTube started. I was invited to do a 3-yard quilt. And, you know, as life happens, it did. And I was on my channel doing the 3-yard quilt. Through that, you did not see my face most of the time because I'm the girl that got A's and B's. But if it came to speaking to people, I would happily take an F.
You know, we are going to talk about your YouTube channel in a bit, but you know, I've heard from a lot of people that I've interviewed that have YouTube channels that they tend to consider themselves introverts, which seems kind of the opposite to what you would think a creator on YouTube should be. But I kind of identify with it because I kind of say to people that I lean towards being an introvert as well. And yet I was a teacher for over 30 years, standing out in front of a whole bunch of teenagers every day, and I didn't seem to have any problem there. But you put me into a social environment with the people I don't know, and I really have to force myself to peel myself off a wall and get involved. So
I would describe myself as an extrovert, but shy.
shy. Yep.
People don't see those things together usually. I can go into a crowd, and once somebody gets me talking, I am there.
Yeah, I understand how that works because I'm kind of the same way. And then they want me to shut up. So, you know, it's a lose-lose, win-win,
That's
lose-lose.
the hard part.
So, yeah, I know. So, did anyone in your family influence you in quilting? Do you have any quilters in your family?
I had sewers in the family. Now, my mom made some tied quilts. I wasn't going to be domesticated when I was young. I had to take home ec. All bake. I don't want to do none of that other stuff. I don't want to sew. I don't want to cook. I don't want to do my nails. I had a teacher. I really think she would have failed me for my nails alone. I was a tomboy and I bit my nails. But I didn't want to sew. I didn't want to do anything. That's my aunt made my first son a quilt. And I thought, oh, that is so pretty. How do you do that? And then it just went off by the wayside. 5 boys. I was not going to get anything.
Right.
And then COVID came along. And I was looking at the quilt, and my sister-in-law had sent me some fabric to make masks with. And it was like 4 fabrics from the same collection. And I thought, those go together. I could do that. I couldn't do that, but I did try, which lit the fire that said, I want to make, and I still have not made a quilt like my aunt, but I want to make a quilt like her.
So basically, she's an inspiration for you then,
Yes.
what you're saying. So I'm gathering from what you're telling me right now, you didn't have any interest in sewing or in quilting at all until recently. And did you do any kind of sewing at all in the years before? Not a thing.
No, nothing. I had a sewing. Oh, okay. That's not true. I had a sewing machine that I bought because I needed a little piece of fabric to go over a small window in the house. And it was very custom sized. I
Right.
figured out how to put a little hem there. I left my machine where it was set when I bought it. And I just went. I didn't have YouTube to teach me or anything. I just, okay, it's only 4 sides. It wasn't pretty. It didn't have to be. It was very gathered, so it hid.
Right, right.
That was the only attempt I had made. And I was so frustrated by trying to get it straight. I didn't have rulers. I didn't have cutting notions. And that sewing machine set until masks.
Mm. So basically, COVID got you into all of this in a sense, which seems to be, I've heard sewing machine sales apparently went up when COVID hit. People were buying them. They were getting into sewing and quilting because they didn't know what else to do. And there was a great influx of all of that there. I mean, I started just before COVID started, but like you, I had no desire to sew at all. And I stumbled upon it by accident because I bought a Cricut machine, and then the Cricut machine had a rotary cutter on it, would cut fabric, and I was a crafter. So I thought, this might be fun. And then I saw $189 at Costco Brothers sewing machine with 50 decorative stitches. I wasn't going to use it for fabric. I was going to use it for paper and for tags because that's what I was into. And that's how I got going with it. So yeah, it's strange how we come to this, isn't it? So now that you're into this, and I'm looking at the beautiful quilt right behind you, do you have a favorite creation since you started? And I know you've got a few things you're going to show us too, because I want to see those as well.
My favorite creation is the quilt I just finished for my husband. Apparently it is a his and hers.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was all him when I started creating it. But I picked blues and colors, snow that I like. I thought it was going to be so him. Then he discovered Minky and a bear panel. You can't put a spring, summer bear panel on the back of my winter quilt. That's what I want. It's mine, right?
Yep.
Of course it is.
Yep.
So now it's his and hers.
Oh, okay. And how did you like working in Minky?
It was easy. I heard a lot of
people
complaining about it getting stuck in their feed dogs, and I didn't have, even with Lux Minky, which I put on the back of my son's quilt before this one, I didn't have any trouble. I just went to their site. I got all their tips, and there is a store up in Washington, did some tips on Minky. I used their tips. I put them all together, and I didn't have any trouble. I didn't do a lot of intricate quilting.
Right. Yeah. Because the reason I asked you that question is because I've heard what you have heard too, that everybody just says Minky is so difficult to work with. So I never have. And, but now after what you've told me about it and looking at the tips and tricks, I could go find those. I might give it a try at one point. But so let's see what you've got. Let's show us, have a trunk show here.
Well, first one I'll show you is the one that my aunt made in 1993. And I learned from this that I need labels on quilts.
Yeah.
And I should have, I'll show you. It's shameful what I did. I'm aware. Permanent marker.
Yeah, but it's there.
Yes. After that, I was like, that broke my heart to write on it. But
so let's see.
This is the baby blanket she made.
Now, she made that in the 90s?
Yes.
Yep. So in the 90s, they didn't have the equipment we have right now for doing stuff, and the fabric selection wasn't great either. So yeah, I always admire that.
I look at this and I was like, I would never put all of these fabrics together. I'm not good at that kind of thing. I like it when it comes in a bundle.
Oh, right. Yep.
I know it goes together. I would have never done that. And when I look at it, there's no batting in this. There
I was
may
going to
be,
say it looks thin. Yeah.
and I'm fairly certain that this is probably a sheet that she used back here. But she came from the, what was it, the Depression, and they were making quilts back when she was young out of feed sacks and such.
Yep.
Grandma made all kinds of things out of feed sacks, from what I hear.
Yep. Yeah, I think
So
they spent more time making not decorative, but quilts that could be used. They were out of necessity, in those days and everything.
right.
So yeah, they weren't. Now today we look at them and go, oh my God, that's vintage. That's, wonderful, and that kind of stuff. I have a feeling they didn't feel that way about it. Went, well, it served the purpose. I needed a quilt. I needed something on the bed to keep us warm. So there it is.
Talking to my aunts, they've all said things like that. It's a necessity. It's beautiful, but it's a necessity.
Yep.
And it's going to be used. So it needs to hold together. And this one has held together despite my lack of knowledge of how I should care for quilts. This one actually fared much better than the one my mother made. She made a tied quilt. I had to cut that entire thing up because my kids destroyed it.
Mm. Yeah.
I was so ashamed.
Yeah.
She was happy it was used.
Well, that's okay. So now this looks interesting.
Is the one with the,
With the
I knew I was going to undo it. I don't know why I bothered folding it. Trying to find the top. This is the Minky. Whoops.
Oh yeah, and the bear. Well, I kind of like that. And then yeah.
The attic window on the front, and I used a blanket in the middle.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that. That's it
That's what
works.
grandmas did.
Yep.
So here's
Exactly.
and you don't have to quilt it as close together. And
No.
that's kind of what I was wanting. I was wanting something that I didn't have to worry about the close together quilting.
Yeah.
And the largest batting I think is 8 inches apart.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's true. Yeah, I never thought of that with using a blanket instead of batting. That yeah, you could use a much more open quilting technique, and less chance of you getting it all puckered up as well. So now, can you tell me about the quilt behind you?
This one is the Pat Sloan So Long from last year, about this time.
Okay.
It was the first one I was trying. It is called Sweet Dreams.
And it's a sampler, right?
Sampler. And the fabrics, the greens and the blacks, came from the mask fabric my sister-in-law sent me.
Okay.
The purples were from a quilt that I made for my mother. I am seriously considering, I think I'm going to, getting some bias tape and making those blocks stand out more. I don't have the eye to see that that's,
honestly, I don't think you need to do that. Not from my perspective, what I'm seeing right now. I think it looks great just as it is. I don't think you need to do that, but that's up to you. You're the creator of it. And I'm sure that will make it stunning as well. But I really love it. And I love the pop of green with the purple. That looks really good. Now, that's not quilted yet, is it?
No, it doesn't even have that. It's not sandwiched yet. I put it up there because it was on my not done list.
Right.
Because I tried to do 2 so longs and realized that's not what I'm going to do after being in the car for 5 hours.
Yeah, true. So
and this one I stopped halfway through, but I think I'm happy with where it is, and it's going to get a backing and probably go to a sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Or a niece.
No, it looks really nice.
Thank you.
Great backdrop. So let's talk then a little bit about what you're really new to quilting. I mean, 2020, you've only been doing it for 3 years, not even quite 3 years, more like 2 years, because we're just into 2023. So, and it looks like you've taken this on with, full force with it all, which is great. So can you label, and labels are, I'm saying labels in quotation marks here. What type of quilter would you describe yourself as? Do you go towards more of the traditional blocks? Are you more modern, freeform? What would you call yourself right now?
I had to look that up when I saw this question because I was like, I don't know. I don't know what I am. I know when it comes to fabrics, I tend to traditional fabrics, and I do like the traditional blocks. That feels modern to me in my head. It feels more the fabrics, I guess.
Yeah,
Does that make
yeah, the
sense?
fabrics are more
But
modern.
I'm still learning. I think I will probably, that is way too loud for me. And I think that's why I wanted to put the black on it.
Well,
Calm. Are my colors really? It's probably why I chose this for my husband. It was calm to me.
okay, well, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm not brave. I'm not gonna experiment with wild like collage things. This over here is gonna be applique. It's a peg onto some fabric for a wall hanging. That's as brave as I get right now.
Well, you want to know something? It's because you're only been doing this for a couple of years, you will branch out. That's what I found with myself. I started out being very traditional, and I still love the traditional blocks, but I love mixing them with, like you said, the modern fabrics. So I'm not sure what category that puts me in. And I've experimented a little bit with sort of art quilts because I really like that. And I love doing scrappy. And you were talking about the one your aunt made, and you said there were colors you wouldn't pick to go together. My favorite quilts that I have made are ones where I just reached in the scrap bin, I sewed them all at random around. I didn't care what the colors were. And it's funny about color. People get hung up on color. All colors work together. And the reason I know that all colors work together and that it's a construct created by modern human beings to make us feel frustrated is you look at a rainbow. There is every color in a rainbow, and they all work together. All work together. So I don't think you can make an ugly quilt. It's just what you prefer. I mean, you said you like blues, right? Which I do too. Blues and purples and teals. I kind of gravitate towards those. But you'd be surprised if you turn off the logical mind, I find, and just throw her down, and it's only fabric. It's only thread. What's the worst thing that can happen? You don't like it. Cut it up and make another one.
That's what got me started when I started hearing people say that right there.
Yep. Some people, though, they get really tied up with having to follow the rules and the whole bit. And this is fun. I'm assuming that you find it enjoyable to do a quilt. So if it's fun, then do whatever. When it stops being fun and it starts being a chore, then I believe, anyways, you're on the wrong track. This is a hobby, So get over yourself, people, and just have some fun with it. So, having said that, I know it looks like you're in your work area. So can you describe your work area? Is it large space, small space, extra room?
It is a very small space that I've carved out in my living room.
Oh,
we have a very, very small house, and I think this rug is like 5 by 3. Both my table here, and I have a table in back of me, fit on it. I have a footstool with an ironing board that's oversized that I made, so I can work from the couch when I need to because I have spinal problems.
Okay.
I have one bookcase and a cube. I always forget about the cube because it's got stuff in it. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
That's where all my fabric stays.
Yeah. So it sounds like
I hope one day to have more.
Yeah, well, we all do. You can never have too much space. I mean, that's what the biggest desire, I think, for all quilters and sewists is to have a separate house for it.
Yeah.
Yep. And I have met some people that actually do. They have built on their property or whatever, like a she shed, a he shed, or man cave, whatever they're doing, and that's where they have their spot. And I really envy that because I think that would be really cool to have just a dedicated structure for this. But you're doing well carving this space out of it's showing you, we're very creative as quilters and sewists. We can sew anywhere. We can make it work. So that's kind of nice that you're able to do that as well. So let's talk about your equipment. Now I see your sewing machine. So do you only have one sewing machine?
I have two.
Okay, what are
This
they?
one I got a second to take the stress off my other one. This one is I had to write them down because I keep forgetting. This is a Brother CP60X. Very basic, like you said at Costco. I got mine at Walmart. Very basic, not terribly expensive. I don't think any of them are terribly cheap, really, nowadays.
No,
But
no, not anymore.
and my other one is an XR9550. They're embroidery quilting machines.
Oh, okay.
This one has a harder time with the bulk, so I use it for piecing.
Right.
My other one comes out when it's time to quilt.
Okay. So you do machine embroidery then too, do you?
No,
Oh, you don't? Oh, I kind of thought, well, you got a machine that's a combo, an embroidery machine and a sewing machine, but you don't. But so you,
that's a fair thought.
okay, so
I want to though. Someday.
I mean, I love machine embroidery. I do. I have a separate embroidery machine. I absolutely love it. It does so much more than people think, that like putting monograms on towels or t-shirts. No, no, no. You can make whole complete wall hangings in they call it in the hoop. But I've got some videos about how you do that on my site as well, but there's lots of them on YouTube. But it's fascinating, or at least I find it fascinating. So that's a whole world that you've got at your fingertips that you haven't used yet. So
Tell you, I was thinking, I'm making this over here for my in-laws, and I want to put the name of their business top and some at the bottom. So I was going to get the letters out, and instead of just a blanket stitch, which my girlfriend keeps telling me, use the blanket stitch to get the applique down. Blanket stitch is boring. This machine has like 50, 60 stitches on it. So for the letters, and she's going to watch this, but she's not going to watch till it's too late. I'm going to try all my stitches.
I know.
My in-laws aren't going to care. They're pretty. I want to see what they will all do around those letters.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So you see right there and then you said you were more traditional. You're moving into the experimental too. You're starting to get bitten by the creative bug, what I call the what if bug. What if I did this? You know, got to be fearless with these things. But yeah, we hardly ever use our decorative stitches on our machines, and they're there. Exactly. We should be using them. So when you quilt, I'm assuming you're quilting on your machines. So you're doing domestic quilting. How's that working?
Yes.
Do you have any problems with that?
I don't really. Most of my quilts, if you measure just the top of a queen size bed, that's about what they measure. This one is 60 something by 80.
That's large.
And a lot of the ones I make are like that because my husband's 6 foot tall. So a lap quilt for him needs to be a little bit bigger.
Right.
That's what it's intended to be. And my son too. But I don't have much trouble. Start in the middle and then I work my way out. So only half of the quilt is in this little bitty throat space at any given time. And that's one reason I got 2 machines. I have a bad back. It's like, wrestling on the floor with a toddler. People are like, why are you wrestling on the floor with a toddler? You have grandchildren, you have nieces, nephews, they think you're a jungle gym. But here I went. But if I do half of it and I get to where I can't sit up straight anymore, I leave it on the machine and then I can walk away. I can stop for a while, relax, get some piecing done, and then go back to it.
Yes.
Is the idea.
And that's a good idea. So are you doing free motion, or are you doing walking foot or ruler?
Walking foot. I tried the ruler on it. I can kind of do it without the ruler. I'm getting better at straight lines. I was horrible at straight lines. I do the walking foot. I like to draw lines on my quilts. I'm really into the serpentine stitch right now. But I was my son's, I made like a Celtic design around it, and I don't even know what it's called, but you've seen the Celtic triangle.
Yep.
I made that design around it. Of course, then I have a zillion ends to bury, I keep thinking to myself, one day I'm going to stop that.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Well, right off the bat, when you said about burying the ends, I don't. I do not bury my ends. They're fine. If I do it on domestic machine, and like you, I love the serpentine stitch. If I'm doing a small project, I have a long arm now, and it has a computer, so it does it for me. But I've tried free motion on small pieces. I basically suck at it. Like you, it took me a long time to figure out how to do even just a straight line. I tried rulers. Rulers are okay, but I never got like the Angela Walters kind of ruler stuff that she does. I mean, yeah, it takes practice, but I'm an impatient person. So, I want instant gratification. That's just me. So that's why I went and I got a long arm and did that kind of thing. But on smaller pieces, placemats, table runners, I don't want to set up the whole long arm for that. I'll go to the domestic machine and my stitch of choice, walking foot, use the serpentine. Love it for it all. So yeah.
Yeah.
And
How do you not bury your stitches?
Okay, that's what I kind of got off topic here. What I do is I just simply my sewing machine, as most do, yours probably does too, it has a lock stitch, right? So when I come to the end of the row, I just push that. It goes down and up, locks it in. I flip it over, I cut off the little tails. I don't worry about popping the knot through into the center of it. You don't see it. You don't see it. And to cheat, and I don't know if it's cheating, but when I do it on a domestic machine, I make sure I've got enough backing and batting that are about 3 to 4 inches away from the top. So I will start the stitching in the batting, do my line or whatever, and end in the batting. So I don't even have to knot it. It gets cut off at the end and it holds together. Now I know the quilt police are going to get me on this
They're
one.
not invited to my channel.
Yeah, well, I just tell them, in certain terms to go, themselves, but kind of a thing. That's all I do with it. And yeah, I know, but I'm not putting these in a quilt show.
Yeah.
So what the heck? I have better things to do with my time than pulling knots through the back of my quilt and all that kind of stuff. And on the long arm, well, I don't have to worry about it because on the long arm, you pull up the thread, but I do it off, just like I was saying, on it too. So I don't have any of that to worry about. So anybody that's listening to this and, our quilt police, they're going to be writing me hate mail, and that's just okay by me because I have a delete key. Bye-bye to your hate mail. But anyways, yeah, that's what I do with it too. So it takes practice, it takes time. And you said you had back problems, and, people who don't quilt and you hear quilters say, "Oh God, I sat at the machine too long. I am really sore now," and they laugh at us. So it's just fabric. How heavy is it? It's very heavy. And all that manipulation, I know my shoulders will hurt, the whole thing with it too. So I can only imagine how you feel after a long session when you have back problems, because I don't have back problems and it still hurts. So anyways, do you have a favorite tool that you reach for all the time, can't live without when you're quilting?
I was thinking about that this morning because I kept thinking, I don't really have a favorite one. But then I lost my seam ripper the other day. Cheap Dritz from Walmart seam ripper. I miss it. It must have gotten decluttered, fell in with my decluttering somewhere because my house isn't that big and I'm very tidy.
You only had one seam ripper?
I didn't eat. I have the 2 that came with my machine, the small ones. But my seam ripper, I use it for the stiletto. I don't see the point in buying extra tools to clutter up the small space if I don't have to. I use it for the stiletto. I use it for the seam ripper. And sometimes if I'm talking, I'll just use it as my pointer. I did not realize how attached I was to that.
Yep.
I lost it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you got to have multiple seam rippers. I have them everywhere because, like you, it goes missing. But I do have a favorite seam ripper that I keep very close to me all the time. I mean, seam ripper, I hate to say it, it's not my favorite tool, but it's a necessary tool. And anybody who says they never rip out seams is lying. They're just lying, because we do a lot of ripping. So if you had all the money in the world, is there a piece of equipment you would invest in?
Computerized long arm.
Yep.
That one's easy because it takes stress off my back.
Mhm.
And I'm always looking for something easier on my back to make it more enjoyable.
Yep.
And then I can always do the small things like you do at your smaller machine. That's what I would want.
Yep. They're expensive. You need to have the space for them. There's a huge learning curve. I'm still learning all the
That's
time.
the thing. I've entered some contests for
Mhm.
long arms. APQS, I can't remember what that stands for, has one going on right now. And I was like, we're gonna have to build an edition.
So you said you got one, an APQS on order?
No, I entered a contest
Yes.
to win one. And I've explained to my husband, if I win this, it's gonna have to share the garage or he's gonna have to put an addition. He's like, my garage.
Yep. Yeah.
Follow that.
If you win it, you'll find a place to put it. There's no two ways about it.
Exactly what I think.
Mine's an APQS as well. And I know something? I kept holding back on them because what it cost me between the computerized system and the long arm and that, I could have bought a car, a nice car. But even though I can't drive my Lucy, she's a Lucy. That's actually the model name of it. But I love my Lucy. I'm glad we got it, but we had to do a lot of rearranging to get it to fit where it is now, which basically meant that my husband's workshop had to be reduced. But that's okay because he doesn't use it that much, and it's mostly a collection basin of miscellaneous tools and garbage. So we had a little clean out.
But you got him to share.
Yeah, well, it was his
impressive.
idea. It was his idea to get it. Yep. My husband's a sewer. He tried quilting, doesn't like it, but he makes garments. He makes men's shirts and pants and stuff like that. He's really good at it. He has his own sewing room as well in the house, one of the extra bedrooms, which is a much tinier space than mine. Mine's pretty big. But he's happy in the little spot up there. And he said during COVID, he said, I've been thinking. And when he says that, I know there's a plan. He goes, we spend all this money on traveling because that's one of our hobbies. We love to travel. We've traveled all around the world. And we haven't been able to do that when COVID hit, right? And he says, the money that we're saving on traveling, we could invest in a long arm, because he was really interested in long arms too. He used one before. I used to rent spot at my local APQS dealer shop. And he said, but I said, okay, if you're saying we should get one, then let's figure out where we're going to put it. Well, we got one. We put it in the workshop, like I said, had to redesign that whole area and the whole bit. And now he's only touched it maybe once. I've said to him, well, you can go down. I'll show you how to layer something, and away you go with it. Well, yeah, I should do that. He's got a quilt small quilt. One of the first ones he made, he took a class. It's never been quilted. And I've said to him, give it to me, I'll quilt it. Or here's an opportunity for YouTube. I'll show you how to set up the computer on the machine, and away you go. Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. Well, fine, whatever. But anyways, it was really his. If he had not said, like, let's do this, I probably wouldn't have one right now.
My husband was always trying to get me to get a hobby. And I've had a hard time sticking with hobbies because of my back. And I'm very tidy. I get things out. They all need to be put away quickly when I'm done. I can't stand it out. I did scrapbooking until my back couldn't take that because it was a mess. And my husband was always, you need a hobby. And then when I said I want a sewing machine, because my one that I had for, I don't know, almost 20 years, I didn't know what was wrong with it. I think I can fix it now. It wasn't working. I was like, well, I guess a new sewing machine, since we've got some extra money right now. He's like, get it. All right.
It helps to have a spouse that's supportive.
He sits literally right on the couch, not 5 feet from me when he's home, and I'm over here. We are connected at the hip, really.
Well, that's nice that that he shows an interest in your hobby, because that really helps. Like I've got the same support here, and we sometimes will sew together. He's working on garments, I'm doing quilts. We've been to retreats together, and of course we run craft and chat once a month on my YouTube channel and other things. So yeah, it's good to have somebody that's supportive of, you know,
Mhm.
they understand why we are
Yeah.
fascinated by this and everything.
Yes.
So, have you, so you're so new to all of this, you probably haven't even had an opportunity, or you may have never even thought of this. Have you ever belonged to an online or an in-person group, like a guild or anything like that?
No, I don't travel. My local shop, which is 20 minutes away, which makes it a 40 drive for me, they have a couple of days where they do sews. I can't take a machine and go and then come back because it's when you have to bring your own machine. I just, my back can't do that. I have a few ladies in a Discord group. It's a very small group. I want to say there's like 6 of us. We get on there and talk quilts once in a while, but we're not really organized.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, you know something? I was just going to say, if you ever have a desire to join a guild, be selective. Not all guilds are alike. Guilds are like they're, because I had a bad experience. That's what I'm coming out of that from. And I'm not going to get into the details about it, but I decided, nope, I didn't like the guild idea. That's not to say there isn't other guilds out there that would be, you know, a little different. It might be a better fit for me.
Yeah. I don't know if you thought like this, but when I got into quilting, I thought it is full of good people. Good people want to give hugs to people.
Yep.
It's all good people. It has to be.
Yep.
And then you learn differently and you're like, okay.
Because people are people.
Just.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, most of the people I've ever met that are quilters are good people,
Yes.
but the ones that aren't,
Right.
they're the ones that suck all the oxygen out of a room with you. And you know, and I was going to say too, you know, we have a lot of things that are similar. We like the same colors. You used to be a scrapbooker. I used to be a scrapbooker. Always been a crafter. All this kind of stuff. So yeah, I could see you and I just going into a room and just sewing together for hours. That would be fun. But
Totally.
that's why I do Zooms. I love doing Zooms because the sewing machine is bloody heavy, and all the other stuff you have to take with you.
Yes.
And I used to love going to the classes, but now I don't know, because I got a little older or whatever, I much more prefer the Zoom type of classes or gatherings because all my stuff is here. I don't have to lift anything. And I mean, I can see people, I can talk to them through Zoom.
Right.
One thing COVID did for us that was a positive was the whole creation of the Zoom world out there.
Mhm.
So
You get to meet people
yeah.
from other areas that, well, I don't travel, and I've never really been a big traveler even before my back went out. I've got friends in the UK and Canada and Australia, all over the world.
Yeah, and that's before Zoom and all that kind of stuff. You didn't have an opportunity to meet that many people in different, like, foreign locales, you know, and all tied together because we have a common interest, which makes, I think, you know, I think there would be world peace if everybody was a quilter to a point. Given what we just said about guilds, but not so sure about that. So do you have, where do you get your supplies? Do you do a lot of in-store shopping or online shopping? And do you have favorite sites or stores you like?
I do a lot of online shopping. It took me a long time to find places to shop. Of course, when COVID hit, I wasn't going to the store. I needed thread even for masks.
Right.
And at first, there's 2 large stores that I think everybody knows and probably everybody shops at. Missouri Star, which I call local to me. So when I shop there, despite wanting to be local, small business, I was like, but it's local. And Backwater Shop. But the small businesses I've found, and keep in mind, I've only been doing this for a couple of years. Stephanie's Supply Shop, Yvette's, and Halo Inspired. They all have different fabrics because they're small. They tend to buy what they like and they sell it. They all have different fabrics that they like, different styles of fabrics that they like. So I can order from one and another one will have a completely different aesthetic.
Yep.
I may overuse that word and misuse it, but that's what I'm going with.
No, I know what you mean.
And so if I want that aesthetic, I'll go to those shops. If I need something more precise that they don't have, I'll go to the bigger shops.
Yeah.
But those are kind of my go-to. Oh, and there's one in Washington that I go to. In fact, they got me buying the Minky, and shame on them.
Are there
I
any
want Minky
more?
on everything now.
Yep. So yeah, I love online shopping. I know that some quilters, they stay away from it because they want to feel the fabric. But you know, I've never had any problems with that, because if you buy a name brand, you know, buy a Riley Blake or a Moda or whatever, you know you're going to get good quality with it. So I don't need to feel it.
Yes.
And I suppose too, sometimes depending on your computer setup, you will have a little bit of a color shift. Sometimes when
Mhm.
you're looking at something and maybe it's not quite as true as what it would look like if you saw it in real life. But having said that, I don't think I've ever bought anything online that I don't like. But I have a local quilting store. And I do go there as frequently as I can because I want to support them. And they're the people that were there holding my hand when I first started quilting. I knew nothing. I mean, I walked in to buy my first sewing machine after my brother from Costco kind of disintegrated on me. And I said, okay, I need a new sewing machine. And the lady who owns the store, who I now know very well and call a friend, Shirley, she said, so what's your budget? And I said, I'll go as high as 3,000. She goes, we have a lot of different machines in that price range that I can show you. But she was good. She asked me all the right questions, like, what are you going to do with this? What are your plans? What are you thinking of? And she directed me towards a couple of machines and told me the ins and outs about them. And well, since then I have bought many machines from her, because this house has about 8 different machines sitting around
Oh, that's fabulous.
things. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
she sees me
I
walking.
look like my local store. They don't have, like I said, they're 20 minutes away. They don't do a lot of pre-cuts. And I like the pre-cuts because I don't have a variety already.
Yeah, I'm a
And I'll
pre-cut
get
junkie.
pre-cuts. Yeah. I'll go there and try to find like a tone on tone, usually, to go with them. And sometime this coming week, I'm going to go find some pig fabric.
Yeah. That sounds funny. I'm going to find some pig fabric. Yeah. You know, watch out for your barnyard animals.
Oh,
I'm coming to get them. Oh, yeah. Well,
oh, if it wasn't for my in-laws.
why are they pigs? No. No, we'll keep that. No, we will say no more.
Well, now I won't be suggesting this video to my mother-in-law.
No, I'm just joking.
No, she has a great
I'm
sense
sure
of humor.
you're lovely people with it. But
My in-laws raise fancy pork, is what I call it.
oh, okay.
They
Fancy
raise
pork.
fancy pork.
So yeah, actually, I want to go.
That's what's expected.
Yeah, I do. I want to go back to that because that's applique, right? That you're doing.
It's going to be.
Yeah. So have you ever done applique before?
No.
Okay, you're bold.
Okay, well, that's not entirely true. I did try the double wedding ring applique style,
Oh,
where you
yeah.
turn the arcs. I did try that. It did not go well.
Well, that's
I have pockets in them. I have, but I know now how to stay on the fabric better. I
Yeah.
think. Before I didn't understand. I pick a line on the foot and kind of watch the needle, see which
Yeah.
way it's going. I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
One of my friends who does applique, she keeps saying blanket stitch. I don't want to do it because I want a pretty stitch. And then I started thinking about it. It's a pig. I'm going to use the blanket stitch. Oh, that's totally going to happen. Pig in a blanket.
Pig in a blanket.
I was calling that anyway. And then I told my mother-in-law, she started laughing. And she's like, I love that.
Yeah, that sounds good with it. Well, you know, applique, I stayed away from applique for the longest while. And now I'm getting really more into it. I kind of like it. I'm doing a quilt on a block of the month.
I saw the crazy.
Yeah, it's well, no,
it
that's you saw some those, you're talking about the squares, I think, that I was playing around with. Yeah, that's an applique.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sort of an applique, but that's just me being nuts. No, I'm actually doing a quilt right now that has, and I haven't shown it because it's a block of the month and it has a lot of applique on it, and I'm really enjoying doing the applique. But like you said, when I first tried applique, is trying to figure out where the hell's that needle going to go, you know, all over the place. And my first attempts at it were kind of all over the place, but like you, I have figured out where to line things up. And yeah, I kind of like it. It's not quite as difficult as I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, but
I don't want to trade spots with you, but do you have a favorite applique person you like to watch? Maybe I could check out.
I actually don't.
Okay.
Um, because I don't actually watch any applique stuff.
Really?
Believe it or not. In fact, until you just asked me that question, I'm thinking, why don't I? Maybe I should. Now, I have seen bits and pieces like there is a Canadian, uh, Laura Koya. She does So Very Easy, and she does all kinds
Yes.
of things, but she does appliques. Is in some of her videos, she has appliques. So I think that's the one that I would say is probably the best because her instructions are for everything she does are so well organized and so very clear.
Mm-hmm.
With it. So yeah, I love her. But yeah, she does do appliques. So, but you're right. I need to do some exploring because there's more stuff I think I could learn out there about applique. So
My friend Melissa is a terrible influence on me. She is always doing applique, free motion, all that stuff. She's crazy. She'll just do it. There is no police anywhere.
well,
And so she's very encouraging to me. Oh, you should do this. You should do that. Watch Lisa Caven. I watch her and I was like,
yep. Well,
yeah,
that's how we learn, right? I mean, what would we have done without YouTube? You know, because
yeah.
it's right there. Freebie classes all the time. Anything you want to do, plug it in there. If I don't know how to do this, I go like I think one day I wanted to figure out how to do mitered borders. And I
Oh,
just went in YouTube. I watched several different videos, went, okay, I can do this, and followed them along, and I did.
me
So,
too.
yeah, that's how we learn now. So yeah, it's a great thing to go to. So, speaking of that, then you were talking about people. Do you have any favorite YouTube experts or people in the field that you go to?
I think just a lot of the ones that I hear my friends talk about a lot. Of course, I started out watching the very first one was for masks, and it was one my mother-in-law suggested. Fabric Patch, Cindy Rang.
Mhm. Yeah.
Watched her stuff. She wasn't doing the close tutorials though at the time, or I wasn't seeing them, one or the other. So I started looking and Jenny Doan.
Yes.
I think I tried to watch Fat Quarter Shop and I was like, oh, she is so precise. She is so precise with everything Kimberly
Yeah.
Jolly. And I love to watch her. Then I found Jenny Doan, who was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's going to work as long as you're consistent. And I'm like, is it though? And it does.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, I watched. That's one of the first ones that I started to watch was Jenny Doan. I think everybody has,
Yeah.
without. I mean, the big desire, the bucket list is for one day to actually get to Missouri, to Hamilton, Missouri, and see all those stores they have down there and do that whole experience. So, but I
Oh,
will.
yeah.
There will be a day. I'm
It's
just not.
only 3 hours from me.
Yeah, it's about
You,
4.
I hate that my back is like it is. It would take me,
Mm,
it would take me a week just to be able to recuperate while I'm there and then go out.
yeah. But you want to know something? It's probably worth it.
I know, right?
Yeah, I could just see
Oh,
there'd be a little every store I'd walk into there'd be ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. I mean, I'd have to drive. I would never get that much fabric that I would be buying down there on an airplane back home. So yeah, that I just fill the
and
car.
they have it all.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
have it all.
I know it's incredible. So, do you have any challenges or goals for the future in quilting? Something you want to really do?
The one thing that I hope to do someday is, and I have trouble with this because the unknown I don't like.
Mm.
I want to follow a sew along. I started this well after it was started because I wanted to see what they were doing. I was always a week behind, but I would like to follow a sew along route. Short term, I want to be able to do applique.
Okay. Yeah. But those are both very approachable goals, I would say. I mean, definitely doable. And like I said before, you've only been doing this a couple of years. So, the
I
build
set
up.
small goals that I think are reasonable
Yes.
because I know me, if I set the goal too high, I'm devastated and I'll
Yes.
just want to quit everything.
Yep. I know the feeling with that too. So yeah, I try to keep my goals in something that I think is manageable, because for the same reason with that.
Mhm.
So that made me think though, when you were saying that too, and I've lost my train of thought, went right out the window. It's my age. It's a senior's moment. But anyways, if it comes back to me, I'll bring it up.
Can't be that much older than me.
No, but I'm not going to say.
I claim it.
A lady never tells her true age. And all I can say is thank God for moisturizer. So
I've been 25 for a very long time.
yeah, I'm just on hold at 29, just, yeah, doesn't age any more than that. Yeah, right. And if people believe that, I've got swampland for sale in Florida. Yeah. So you've got a YouTube channel, Coleen Coleen Sew and Chat. And so how long have you had that channel up?
Since the end of June last year,
Okay, so
I
relative.
started really adding to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure how I found you. I think I may have heard you mentioned by another YouTube. It might have been, do you know Sean, the guy who sews?
When he interviewed you or you interviewed him, I don't
Yeah.
remember how that went.
Well,
I was
actually, and
moderating.
each other. So with that, yeah, it's kind of, that sounded bad. But anyways, you know what I mean? So I think it may have come from Sean. It came somewhere. And
I used to be in a lot of chats. I know I've seen you interview a lot of people that I've been friendly with.
yeah. So anyways, I did find you. And as I said, the other day was just by accident when you were doing your sew and chat. I was going through YouTube. I saw the thing come up saying that you were live. I thought, oh, I'll pop in and see what's going on there. And I had a ball. It was so much fun with it, a great group there. And I know you do that on a regular basis. And it's just fun. And this goes back to what we were saying before about the whole Zoom, YouTube phenomenon. You don't necessarily have to be in the same physical space to have a good time with people. So do you have plans for expansion on your YouTube channel, or things that you want to add to it?
Not right now. I had goals last year and I was doing pretty good with them. And then I got derailed by spending 5 hours in the car. So I think after school's out, I may try to go back to that. I was doing lives on Monday, a pre-record, horribly edited, but edited with voiceover on Friday mornings. And that's what I want to do. I want to, Mondays, I was trying to do simple block out of the Quilt Builder's deck thing. Just a simple block, not even using their dimensions or anything, just 2.5 inch pieces is usually what I have. I want to see if it'll work.
Right.
And that's what I used. But I kind of want to get back to being able to do the voiceover on the one pre-record a week. I would like to do that because I think people enjoyed it. Yeah. But I know people enjoy having the live chat because we are all kind of isolated.
Yes. Yes.
From quilty friends. They're far off. So when you get in a chat and you get to talk quilting and you get to talk crazy and you know.
Yep.
I think that's what people like.
Yeah, quilting can be very social. And I think, and I agree with you, that's what people like as well. But going back to what you said about doing the little simple block and you were using the quilt builder cards, I have I have a set of those. I haven't used them yet, but I just did a little video about those on my channel. So yeah, that's what, so you've made it into a sampler.
These were, I can get any of them to show up. Let's see.
Well, that's cool.
Prettier ones. There's pretty ones on here somewhere.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I just added the sashing to bring them up to size.
Yep.
I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do them all in the Halloween colors.
Yeah, I was going to say that looks great. And it looks like you've got a panel in there too, do you?
I do.
Yeah, that's cool. I really like that.
I'm addicted to gnomes.
Oh, you got, yes, oh my. I just saw gnomes. Yes, gnomes. I
know. That's what I do in chats. If there's gnomes, I was like, gnomes.
Gnomes. Yeah, I know. And people know me so well now that they keep directing me to more gnomes in patterns, in sites, everything like that. So yeah, but I do love gnomes. I
follow a lady, I swear, she has a shop. I know she puts gnomes up just because she knows I'm going to go buy.
You're going to buy them. Yeah, I know the feeling with that one too. So Yeah, but I was going to say about that when you're talking about on your YouTube channel about just doing the simple blocks. You want to know something? I think a lot of people would really like that because I think we come as creators at it because there's so much out there about quilting and everything on YouTube. And we look at it and we say, oh, well, somebody's already done that. Yeah, but that somebody is not you or not me. We have a different spin on it because it goes with our personality. And for other people, that may be an attractive feature for them. But also, I think sometimes YouTube channels tend to be intimidating for some people because if they don't show that they've had a trouble with something or made a mistake, it's like they edit it out. It's perfect. They started with this, never made a mistake. And people who are especially starting out on this get the thought that I can't do this. And they get
That's
discouraged.
exactly what I did. That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, they say they make mistakes. I don't see mistakes.
Yeah.
I see something that's unattainable for me.
Yeah. And that's discouraging.
And I,
You don't want to do it, and that's not the way it is. It should be, everybody should be able to approach this on their own level and have success with it and not worry if they make a mistake because a mistake can be fixed in one way or another. So I like the idea of you showing the simple blocks because people will see this is manageable and they'll go from there. That's why I call myself the quilter because I make
you
mistakes.
did fantastic.
And I show people my mistakes.
You're so funny.
So,
You do.
Yep.
You do. And I like that. I remember I was looking at that today and I was like, that's what I like. And I think people like that. But the other thing, oh, good grief. Now mine went out the window. This is going to be a problem.
You're having a senior moment too. Well, I'm glad. Welcome to the club. I would say
I have to backtrack.
I'm going to get a little sign. I'd invite you to the seniors club, but I have forgotten why. It'll come back to me. But
I remember now.
Oh, okay, great.
The other about the simple blocks that I'm doing, I'm not expecting anybody to do them with me. There are so many people that do sew-alongs, and I know you and Stephanie got one going right now.
Yeah.
They can come to my channel and just hang out.
Yes.
It's not another sew-along they have to keep up with or they want to keep up with. And I kind of like that because I like going to your channel. I like going to Stephanie's channel. I like going there.
Yes.
But my mind needs a place to rest in between.
Yeah.
And I thought, surely I'm not the only one.
And it can get very overwhelming. And I have never done a sew along before. And then I'm working with Stephanie on this one, and it's my first sew along. And of course, if you've been watching it, I went all over the other day about my stupid things that I did with this. And my biggest fear was I would confuse people on something that we picked that's pretty easy, or we thought it was going to be easy. But yeah, and there's all kinds of sew-alongs you can belong to, but I've got all kinds of projects going. I don't want to get overwhelmed to the point where you suddenly feel you have a deadline, and that's no fun. I don't want deadlines,
Yeah. That's why I haven't done a lot, because that's exactly how I feel. Yeah. It makes a job.
Yeah, I appreciate it when people do sew-alongs and have them up there as well, because you can learn something from them, but I just don't commit myself usually to them,
Yeah.
because I'm the kind of person that when I start something, I want to finish it. I don't like UFOs, although I have a few, but I don't like them. They bother me. Yeah. And that's good. And actually, I don't have any UFOs. I have projects and kits that I've put together for myself, but I haven't started them yet. So I don't know if those count as UFOs, but maybe they do. I don't know. I haven't done anything. I haven't cut the fabric. I just picked out the fabric, threw it together in a box, and went, okay, with the pattern, someday I'm going to do this. But anyways, that's the way it goes. So I am going to put the link in this interview in the show notes to your YouTube channel, because I like to support people who are just starting out on YouTube, and I'm hoping that people will be directed to your channel and you'll get a whole bunch of new subscribers.
Thank you. And I appreciate that.
Because people helped me out when I got started, so I'm just paying it forward with it. So before we go, I want to ask you, do you have any advice from your 2 years of extensive experience now for anybody who wants to get started in quilting?
I think my only advice is don't worry about the quilt police.
Yep.
Like
And,
you said, it's only fabric, it's only thread.
and why
If
is
you
that?
don't start, you'll never finish.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I just, yeah, quilt police, no. And that's again what I was saying before about you go to some YouTube channels and they, in a sense, are promoting the quilt police because they're telling you you have to do it this way. And they talk about show quilts and all this kind of stuff. Well, there's nothing wrong with creating something or setting a goal to make a show quilt. Just be realistic about it. So,
Yes.
and don't put the
Don't discourage yourself.
Yeah,
You don't want to
really.
start like the 1/4 inch foot. I had a hard time finding the 1/4 inch foot, but I was being consistent.
Yes.
So it didn't bother me terribly.
Yep.
I try to get the 1/4 inch. Blocks come out prettier when you get the 1/4 inch. Maybe that's why I don't do a lot of sew longs too.
Yeah, but that's a very important tip too to new quilters. Don't underestimate it when you see in patterns and everybody talks about it, the 1/4 inch, because I had a problem. I thought I was doing the right 1/4 inch. I had a 1/4 inch foot and the whole bit, but my blocks all came out consistently a 1/4 inch smaller than what they said they were supposed to be. But all of them did that, so it all fit together. And I finally figured out why. The 1/4 inch foot I was using was not a good one to use. I used one with an edge guide. And somebody told me, don't use an edge guide one because you can't see it, but your fabric, when it goes under to the needle part of it, is slightly bending up against that. And that's what's throwing you off. So I changed it. I got one without the edge guide on it. First time I used it, my block came out perfect in terms of size. Haven't gone back. So yeah,
Nice.
a 1/4 inch foot, a decent 1/4 inch foot is
Mhm.
a must. Learn how to do the 1/4 inch.
Yes.
Small thing, but it's an important thing. So anyways, do you have any parting words before we say goodbye?
I always tell people, be the light you want to see in others.
That's a good thing. And I like that. And that's how I think I'm going to end this. So thank you so much, Coleen, for doing this with me. It's great. Just stay on the line as I go off here. But anyways, I'm sure people are really going to enjoy this. And I think they're going to enjoy it because I think it's very real. You talked about how you got started. You are still basically a newbie to it. And I think that's encouraging for other people as well.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your creations. They're all beautiful, and I'm looking forward to seeing more in the future as well. So have a great day. Thanks for this, and we'll talk to you again real soon.